have some stuff to talk about. May wrap up. Anyways, hi. So I actually have a couple of these on my Kindle. Let me get it. Also, let's just go ahead and appreciate. I'm pretty sure this is the most I have read in a month. Not even like this year, but since I've started my channel. And I did sneaky count it as 10. I didn't finish 2 of them yet, but I don't care, we're counting them. Okay, so the first book that I read this month, we're just jumping into it. No intro, you know what we're here for. I actually listened to Wicked Fox on Audible, and it was really good. I think I would rate it like a 4, maybe 3.75, 4 stars. It was a really cool like fairy tale. That's not even really the word that I want to use, but kind of. It feels like I read this so long ago, just because it's like June 1st right now. I remember bits and pieces of it, and I remembered really liking it. I remember it was like, even though there was things going on that were high stakes, it was still kind of soothing to listen to. So I did really like the audiobook. The only thing that I have about that is I would like to see how some things are spelt, just to like differentiate between them a little bit easier. But that's more of like a me thing and less of like the book thing, if that makes any sense. So, very vague 4 stars. The closer that these get to now, the more I'm gonna have to talk about them because I'll actually have remembered and like retained a lot. So the next one, this one's really cool because I got it on Kindle Unlimited. It's on Kindle Unlimited, but it also comes with an audiobook. So I listened to this on the way to Chicago for a road trip and like while I was there. Also listened to it in the car when I was driving. So this just makes me think of that trip, which is really nice. It was literary fiction, I'm pretty sure. But basically, that one was about this woman is a biologist and she's like researching in this very rural area. And this little girl comes up to the property she's staying at and she won't leave. And she keeps saying like, I don't have parents, I'm an alien. It sounds weird, but stick with me. Okay. She's like, I have this checklist that I have to experience things on Earth before I go back home. And so this woman and a neighbor are kind of taking care of her, but also trying to figure out what happened. The police didn't really listen to them, but then they start to become interested later on. It's just like this whole thing. And I don't know if this is the point. Maybe I was reading into it too much. The whole time I was like, is she an alien? Is she really? Or is she faking it and she's just like scared and a child? I can't tell. I don't know if that's what you're supposed to think the whole time, but that's what I was thinking. So it was kind of cool to see how it ended and just like see what ended up becoming of that whole thing. It also sort of gave me Where the Crawdads Sing vibes, just because of the literary fiction elements and very just character driven. And then also her being a biologist and being in the creek and like outside and everything. It just, I don't know, it kind of just gave me those vibes a little bit. It didn't have as, oh my gosh, like I gave that one 5 stars. This one, I think I would also give another solid 4 stars. Like, didn't change my life, but I enjoyed reading it. I enjoyed the writing. I also really liked that I could just switch back and forth between my Kindle and the audiobook. That was super clutch for a road trip. That was kind of cringy. Why did I say that? I read so many books and you think that my vocabulary would be more advanced than it was clutch. Moving on. You guys, I haven't talked about this one yet. I'm low-key kind of scared to talk about this one. I have a whole entire video that's actually taken me like over a year to film because I'm ridiculous. And I haven't filmed how I feel about the last book. Kingdom of Ash. I finished it. I did it. I finished the whole Throne of Glass. I almost said trilogy. Obviously, it's not a trilogy. There's like a million books in it. But I finished it, and this is like 1,000 pages. So, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to begin on my thoughts with this. I would say overall, I think Empire of Storms was my favorite book. This is a close, I don't know. Is it a close second? Because I also really liked Air of Fire. and Crown of Midnight. I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't matter. 5-star series. Just 5-star series overall. I would still probably give this one 5 stars, even though it wasn't my favorite book out of the series. Just because there was a lot that they had to do in this one, obviously. Yeah, so if you want like an in-depth review of this one, hang tight for my like entire Throne of Glass series video. It's gonna be spoiler free, but I really need to go through and look at all of the things that I tabbed and really remember everything because, oh my gosh. She's done it again, ladies and gentlemen. Even if it's not the best writing you've ever read, it's still a story that like clutches to your heart. It gives you the 5-star feelings. Or it gave me the 5-star feelings anyways. So, and y'all, there is so much connecting this. Every single book of this series, even though it was her first one, connects it in little ways or gives the opening to connect it to the other ones. And I know it doesn't seem like it, but y'all, I've been working. I've been annotating. The amount of times, you guys, that I just start talking. I just start going, not recording. Orange. I know you've heard me talk about this. I loved it. 5 stars. Let's just get that one out of the way. 5 stars, first of all. It's about this group of kids in high school. We mainly follow one girl. She gets a letter from herself in the 10 years in the future. This happens like the first page. She tells herself that something bad happens to one of their closest friends and all the things that she regrets and wishes she would have changed that could potentially have a different outcome to where the bad thing does not happen. It's really cute though, but that's not exactly the word that I would use for it because I would say it's like sad and sweet. I've started the second one this month, but I really liked this, so I will continue reading them. Love. Speaking of manga, the other one that I read this month, Spy Family 4. I did this in my 24-hour readathon, and it was literally like the only book I finished because I read so slow. Why do I do that? I don't understand. But I read this in one sitting. It took me like an hour. It's really cute, like all other Spy Family books. I still like the first 2 the most. Those were still so precious. 5 stars. Third one I didn't like as much because there was a weird subplot. This one I liked more than the third one, but not more than the first 2. So that's kind of where this one sits. I would say like 3.75 just because I remember what happens. They get a dog, obviously. Yeah, I would still keep it at 3.75 just because I'm waiting for like something to happen. Then, this one's fun. This one is a thriller mystery type thing going on. It's called Local Woman Missing. A friend of mine read this, and so I picked it up. I actually picked it up at work, and what we did was I bought it on audiobook, and me and 2 of my friends started just listening to it, and we got like a good chunk of the way through. Like, we listened to a few hours of this, and then all 3 of us were like, I have to finish this. So I went out and bought it. I did finish it. I would rate this 4.5, maybe 4.25. I really liked it. At first, it took me a second to get there, you know what I mean? The plot was interesting, but it wasn't like the best thing I had ever read, it didn't feel like. But then you hit a certain point when there's a lot of connections that are being made, and this one really brings details back around in a way that's really nice. I love when authors do that, and it's not always done well, and sometimes it's a little bit too ridiculous. This was good. I liked this one. And then by the time you get to the end of it, I don't know how I feel about the end. I don't know if I liked it, but I did like the majority of the twists that did happen. So, 4.25. What are we on? 8? I feel like that was fast. Okay. Then, the most recent book I have finished, on my Kindle, I read Serpent. Oh my gosh, there's so many these and ands, and I never know where to put them. The Serpent and the Wings of Night. This one, I do kind of agree with the things that I've heard about it. It's kind of like the Hunger Games. And like, I get what they're saying when they say it's like ACOTAR. It's not like the series at all, but just the part where she's doing like Amaranthia's tasks or whatever, that I can see the vibes, and it's like she's the only human. I actually loved this book. I also read it during my 24-hour readathon. Feels like it took me so long for no reason. The font must be small in these books. I'm convinced. I need to see it in person. I'm gonna open it up. I know it's small, but this was like super high stakes. Stuff's going on all the time. Like the pacing was just very fast. I liked the characters. The beginning of it confused me at first because I thought it meant something different than it did. But now looking back, I'm like, oh no, that makes sense. There was a couple things that were predictable in it, but it didn't bother me that much because it was so fast paced. So it was like, we're moving on. I'm very curious to see about the sequel. Also on Kindle Unlimited, which is great. I have started it. I'm like 1% of the way through. So, but out of everyone that I've seen talk about this, I always hear that the first one is their favorite. I don't know. I'm like leaning towards 4.5, literally just because I enjoyed the reading experience so much. You know what? I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna do it. 4.5. But yeah, I think the main character's name is Araya, but it basically follows her. She was found and raised by this like vampire king, and they live in a very like, brutal world. And the whole time is kind of like, why? Like, why would he care to do that? Considering how ruthless he is, but he trains her up and he preps her for this tournament that only happens every 100 years. And if they win, they get like a divine gift. She meets a guy, of course, because it's a fantasy with the subplot of romance, which we all know and love. And yeah, stuff happens. I don't want to spoil it for you. Read it. Honestly, I would recommend this one. This was good. Like if you're in a reading slump or you just need something fast-paced, I would recommend that one for sure. Hey guys, it's Future Kels editing currently, and I realized I did not even talk about Book Lovers because I did read that in May. So I figured I'd just give like a brief overview. One, love Emily Henry, love her writing. Anything by her is a good time for me. So I loved the reading experience. I honestly really liked the story. I liked the representation of a woman in a rom-com-y type of book that has no interest in having children. I feel like that was really refreshing. But basically, it was about this woman who saw herself as this stereotypical career-driven woman that people don't really think has feelings or care about things besides work. Of course she does, because she's a person. And her sister really wants to give her that romanticized small town experience because they both live in New York. So they go for like this month-long trip, and she ends up running into someone that she knows from New York that's an editor. And she also works in the publishing industry. So it's also about the book industry, which is really interesting. I don't know, there's a lot going on. First half of the book, I was obsessed with all of it. But the second half kind of lost me a little bit. Still an amazing book. Do I like beach read most still? Yes. But I also have yet to read Happy Place, so hold a pin in that one. But I think I would rate this one at 3.75 because even though the last half of it kind of lost me, I still really enjoyed the entire reading experience. So, I don't know what it was. I felt less connected to the characters the second half. That's it. Okay, here's me at a previous time. Okay, so those are all of the books that I finished this month, but of course I've got things going on right now, which if you're not surprised, like I said, I am starting the sequel to Serpent and the Wings of Night. Something About Ash is what it's called. The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. Why are these titles so confusing for me? Also on Kindle Unlimited. If it keeps the same type of pace, even if I don't like the story that much, I'm sure that I'll be able to get through it. Then I've got, oh, I don't even have it over here. I've got Orange too. The only thing that I'm worried about with this one is sometimes for mangas, like they're always these massive series, and so things inevitably get drawn out a lot. And so that's kind of the only thing that I'm worried about with this one. I've started it enough to jump back into the plot, but I still really like the characters and the setting and everything, so still gonna read it. We did find out something big at the end of the first one, so I'm excited that we'll be able to kind of explore that in this. So it doesn't feel like it's dragging yet. Oh my gosh, I'm actually loving this one so much. I think this is the one I'm most excited about. I started tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. I'm obsessed with her writing. It's so witty and you can tell that she knows what she's talking about. The humor is good. I just love it. And I'm not like a gamer by any means. I would love to like get into that world because when I find something I like, I nerd out over it super hardcore. So I think that it would be a good thing for me to start. Like I feel like I would enjoy it a lot, but this has inspired me even more so. It's about 2 video game developers and kind of the journey that takes place with them creating this game. Where I'm at right now, I mean, I'm not even halfway through it. They've finished their game. It's never gonna sound as good as it is when you actually pick it up and read it because I really just can't explain that feeling when you find a good book like this. I'm just so drawn to the writing. And it's honestly not fast-paced, but it's not boring at all. I also feel like this is super cool just because the writing is so good. So many people have read this and it was on the top of so many people's like 2022 reads. Also for people that typically read like a wide variety of other genres, but then still ended up liking this, I feel like that says a lot when you have like such a broad audience that likes your book. So that was my little rant for this one. Loving it. I've already recommended it to quite a few people. I think I just swallowed a lemon seed. All right, well, that's basically all I got. Love a good May wrap up. 10 books. Did I finish them? We're not gonna talk about it, but 10 books nonetheless. All right, I have lots of things to go read. So we'll see you later. Bye.